Once upon a time there was a prince who did not like to live alone in the palace. He did not know what fear was, he thought, and quoth, "I have to travel the world, I will no longer feel that time is long. I will know many strange things." And quoth, he asked his father to let him go. He walked tirelessly from early morning until dark. He just kept going straight, not knowing where the road led. One day, tired from traveling, he sat down to rest right in front of a giant and number 39's house. Looking around, he saw that in the giant and number 39's yard there were toys, a few very large balls, and a few giant monkeys as tall as people. Suddenly he got excited and wanted to play. He set up the pins neatly, then rolled the balls to touch the pins. Every time he saw the bird fall, he cheered happily. Hearing the noise, the giant looked out the window and saw someone playing key, so he shouted, "You brat, are you playing key too? Where does the strength come from to play with such big key?" The prince raised his head, saw the giant and asked, "Oh, wooden man." He thought he was the only one who had strong arms. "When I am number 39 am in the mood, I can do anything." The giant came out, looked at the prince playing key and was very surprised and said, "Childish soldier, but if you are that kind of person, go and pick an apple for me from the tree of immortality." The prince asked, "What do you need apples for?" "I want the apple, not for me. I have a fiancée. She wants apples. I have traveled all over the world but cannot find that tree of immortality." The giant answered, "I will find that tree, but I wonder if apple picking will be prevented? Do you think it and number 39's easy to get in? The garden has an eternal tree with an iron fence, and all the wild animals lie guard so that no one can get inside." The prince said, "They will definitely let me into the garden. If you could get into the garden and see apples on the trees, you wouldn't and hash 39's be able to reach out and pick them, because each tree has a ring hanging from it. Anyone who wants to pick apples must be able to put their hand through the ring, but so far no one has been able to do so. I will be the one to do it." The prince replied. He said goodbye to the giant, then set off. He crossed high mountains and deep valleys, crossed wilderness and dense forests until he found the strange garden. Everywhere around the garden were wild animals lying down with their heads down to sleep. When he arrived, they still hadn't and hash 39's woken up. He walked over them, over the fence, and safely into the garden. In the middle of the garden is the tree of immortality. Pink-red apples shine on the tree branches. He climbed the tree to reach through the ring to pick apples. The bracelet tightened on his hand, and suddenly he felt a strong power being transmitted into his veins. He took the apple and fell down from the tree, without climbing over the fence, his hand holding the large gate pulled hard, and the door opened with a creaking sound. When he left, the lion woke up and jumped after him. It was not ferocious, but obediently followed him as if following its owner. The prince gave the giant the apple he had promised. He said, "You see, I got the apple without much effort." The giant was very happy, because his wish was quickly fulfilled. He quickly went to meet his fiancée to give her the apple she asked for. She is a beautiful, intelligent young woman. When she saw that there was no bracelet on the giant and number 39's hand, she asked, "I don and number 39's believe that this apple was picked by you, unless you have a bracelet on your arm." The giant said, "I just need to go home and get it." He thought he could easily snatch the bracelet from that weak guy and number 39's hand, even if the other person didn't and #39 want it. He asked to give him the bracelet, but the prince refused. The giant said, "The hoop must be where the apple is. If you refuse to give it to me, you have to fight me." The two sides wrestled for a long time, but the giant could not defeat the prince, because he had the magical power of the bracelet. The giant thought of a plan and said, "Just like you, I and number 39 am hot from fighting. Now let and number 39's go take a shower to cool off, then fight again." The prince did not know that it was a ruse, so he went to the river together. When he took off his clothes, the bracelet slipped and fell. The giant immediately grabbed the bracelet and ran away. The lion saw the robbery. It chased the giant and stole the bracelet back to its owner. The giant hid behind an oak tree. While the prince was wearing clothes, he attacked and gouged out the prince and number 39's eyes. Blind, the prince stood there, not knowing what to do. The giant stepped forward again, held the prince and number 39's hand as if he were a guide, led him to the top of a steep cliff, and left the prince standing there. He thought, "Just take a few more steps and it will fall into the abyss and die. Then I just need to go and remove the bracelet." But the loyal lion is always by his master and number 39's side. It bit his shirt and pulled the prince back. When the giant returned to try to steal the bracelet from the dead man, he found that his plan failed. Annoyed, he said, "I can and number 39's pay that little guy?" He took the prince and number 39's hand and led him to another abyss. But the lion saw the giant and number 39's malice and saw the danger to its master. When the two men approached the edge of the cliff, the giant let go of the prince and number 39's hand and the lion rushed straight and sucked the giant down into the cliff, dead. The loyal animal bit his owner and number 39's shirt and pulled it towards an old tree by the stream. The prince sat by the stream. The lion bent down to the stream and used his front paw to splash the stream water on the prince and number 39's face. A few drops of spring water fell into his eye sockets, making him able to see everything again. He saw a bird fly past and hit a tree trunk and fall into the stream. The bird bathed in the stream, then flew up, preened its feathers to dry them, then flew between the trees as if it recognized the prince and number 39's face. The prince realized it was a hint from God, so he bent down to the stream to wash his face. When he stood up, his eyes were bright again like before. The prince thanked God for his grace, then went with the lion to travel the world. Once he went to an enchanted castle. Inside the gate there was a beautiful, cute girl, but her whole body was black. She waved at him and said, "Oh God, you can free me from the spell." "So what should I do now?" the prince asked. The young woman said, "You must stay in the hall of the enchanted castle for 3 nights. He must not be afraid. If the demons tormented him, no matter how angry and uncomfortable they were, he had to endure them without a word of complaint. So you have rescued me from the spell. The demons Don and number 39's dare harm him." The prince said, "I and number 39's am not afraid. If God helps, just try it and see how it goes." So the smiling prince entered the castle. He sat in the hall, waiting until evening. Everything was quiet until late at night, then suddenly there was a very loud noise. Small demons rushed from all directions into the hall. They sat down naturally as if there was no one here but them. They lit a fire, then started gambling. A demon lost money and said, "Something is wrong. There must be a stranger here, because I lost because he was possessed." Another demon said, "Go behind the fireplace. Wait, I and number 39. I'll be right back." The booing is getting louder and louder. No one is afraid. The prince still sat calmly, not panicking at all. Finally all the demons jumped towards him. There were so many of them that he could *39 stand them. He was beaten, teased, dragged and tortured by them, but he still remained silent. The demons disappeared at dawn. As for him, he was so listless that he could *39 move his limbs. When morning came, a young woman walked in and stood next to him. In her hand she holds a bottle of eternal water. She massaged him with the water of immortality. He felt all the pain disappear and his blood circulated again. She said, "You endured one night, but there are 2 more nights like that waiting for you." Having finished speaking, she left. As she walked, the prince saw that her legs had turned white. The next night the ghosts appeared again to gamble together. They rushed at the prince and punched and kicked him to death, injuring him all over his body. He gritted his teeth and endured patiently. When the sun rose in the east, the demons disappeared. The young woman came and she treated him with the water of immortality. As she walked away, the prince was happy to see that she was white down to her fingers. He only had to endure 1 more night, the harshest and most painful night. The bustling scene happened again when the little devils appeared. They said loudly, "Are you still here? You will be beaten so hard that you will die." They rushed to beat him, insulted him, threw him, grabbed his arms, grabbed his legs, and dragged him as if they wanted to tear him apart. He endured it patiently, without uttering a word. Finally, they disappeared, and he lay motionless, unconscious. A young girl walked in. He wanted to open his eyes but could *39 The young woman used the water of immortality to wet his body, then massaged him. Immediately all his pain disappeared. He woke up, found himself healthy and refreshed, as if waking up after a good sleep. When he opened his eyes, the prince saw a young girl standing next to him. Her skin was white as snow, beautiful as the morning light. She said, "Wake up, my dear." Just swinging his sword 3 times on the stairs was enough for him to be freed from the spell. The prince swung his sword as she told him, and the whole palace was liberated by witchcraft. The young girl was originally a princess of a rich kingdom. The servants came to announce that the banquet in the hall was finished. He and she sat at the table together. They ate and drank happily together. And that very evening the wedding was solemnly celebrated. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.